Falkenbright, this question starts with you. What do you foresee to be the future for the city's police and fire department organization and staffing levels?
Thank you. I see the police and I see public safety, at least in my lifetime, stable and as it is. 2 years ago, as we saw when I came into this campaign 2 years ago, we knew that crime was in a sense on the rise in the city of North Adams. We have one of the highest per capita arrest rates in the Commonwealth. What we did was we found money through the Verizon 911 grant. We utilized those monies to pay our dispatchers, pulled the dispatcher salaries out of the budgets, and we put in 3 or 4, I believe it was 3, maybe 4 new officers. We put cops on bikes in this city again this year for the first time in probably 4, 5, 6 years. We had cops in the neighborhoods. We had cops on our fields on bikes. It was a very good feeling. We have more cops on patrol as a result of that, particularly on the weekends when the community's most at risk. And so the public safety to me is paramount to many, many things. As far as the fire department is concerned, I am fully supportive of, I always have been, I always will be, of a full-time, full-service fire department. We have currently 24 firefighters on duty on staff, I believe, and I believe those staffing levels are also adequate and should remain the same. When we look at public safety in this community, particularly fire safety, we have most of our housing stock was built prior to 1939. They're all built very close. We have a hospital to protect. We have this college to protect. We have high-rise housing. We have a museum. We have many things that are just in need of protection, in need of immediate response. I think any way of turning back the public safety that we currently have in place, how it's managed is another thing, but turning back the numbers of what's in place, I think is just a very, very bad move for this community.
Thank you. Your response.
Thank you. Over my past 12 years on the council, I've been a big supporter of public safety. I think now more than ever on the police end, we need that coverage in our neighborhoods. With the rise in small crimes and drugs, we need that presence, especially throughout our neighborhoods. I'd like to see the policemen on the beat on Main Street and more police within the neighborhoods. I think more than ever we need that coverage. As for the fire department, you know, there's a presumption out there that I'm looking to cut the fire department or eliminate full-time firefighters, and that's not the truth. I think they play a vital role in this city. But as time goes on, we're not a city of 20,000 people anymore. We're probably a population of 12,600, 12,700, somewhere in there. If our population continues,
I'm going to have to stop you.
Okay.
Your response?
Well, I would just say that, you know, I'm more of an optimist. I don't always assume that things are going to continue to shrink. I'd like to think that over time and the right economic circumstances and with the right management leadership that we will grow. Not only that, but even if we do shrink, if our population went to 10,000 tomorrow, we have no less to protect. We have no fewer roads to plow. We have no fewer buildings to protect. We would still have a hospital. We would still have a college. All of those things are there. So my commitment is to full-time, full-service fire and certainly police at the levels that we currently have.
Thank you. Mr. Boucher, it is now your turn to answer the same question.
It's great to be able to have a full-time fire department if we can afford it. No one knows what the future brings. Over the last 10 years, our population hasn't increased, it's been decreasing. All I'm saying is right now, the model that we have is working, but we need to look at it down the road. We've talked about this. The model, how we do business, is changed. We need to look at a new model, and it may take to look at maybe instituting the fire department with some paid volunteers as we go on. That's something down the road. That's not going to happen right away. We're talking 5, 6, 7, 8 years down the road. That's something we need to look at.
Thank you. Your response?
Okay, thank you. I think if we, you know, if you're talking about a volunteer fire department whatsoever, you'd probably have to be talking about, as you said, a pay-per-call type of unit. When you talk about pay-per-call, you're incurring expenses. You still have to have somebody typically at the station. The other thing is, if you think about fire safety in the city of North Adams, you could not support, my own personal opinion is you could not support fire safety at any kind of a level that we've come to expect in a volunteer basis unless you had a substation out in the West End. So now you've got additional infrastructure costs. If we reduced our cost by $1 million, okay, that's $1 on the tax rate. On the average house, that's about $135 a year. And you would see an increase in your homeowner's expenses, homeowner's insurance expense. So, I mean, what are the trade-offs here? There just isn't enough to talk about in my mind that really warrants the fact that we would do away with full-time fire safety.
Thank you. Your response?
I'm not talking about getting rid of full-time fire safety. I'm talking about keeping a base of full-time employees and just, as through attrition, replacing them with paid volunteers. I don't think it calls for a substation in the West End. We can operate out of our existing building, and I think we can supply adequate safety. I look like towns of Adams, towns of Bennington, who have just as much building, colleges, hospitals, as we do here, and they do it fine with a volunteer system. So, and again, I'm not.
Mr. Boucher, I'm going to have to stop you. Mr. Boucher, you'll be the first to respond.